Every year, millions of families walk through theme park gates, laughing, screaming, living their best moments. But what happens when the ride doesn't stop? What happens when the safety bar fails and the screaming never ends? These aren't urban legends. These aren't movie plots. These are real. And some of them you will never forget. Theme parks are sold to us as the happiest places on earth, a world of cotton candy, towering coasters, and childhood magic. Every year, over 300 million people visit amusement parks across the United States alone. They trust the rides. They trust the operators. They trust the system. But behind the bright lights and cheerful music, a darker story has always existed. One the industry never wanted you to find. The truth is, theme park accidents are more common than most people realize. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission reports thousands of ride-related injuries every single year. Most are minor, but some are catastrophic. And the stories behind the worst ones reveal something far more disturbing than mechanical failure. They reveal negligence, ignored warnings, and systems that failed the very people they were meant to protect. In 2016, at the Schlitterbahn Water Park in Kansas City, Kansas, a 10-year-old boy named Caleb Schwab rode what was marketed as the world's tallest water slide, the Verrückt. Named German for insane, the slide stood 168 feet tall. Riders in inflatable rafts were supposed to fly through enclosed tubes at breakneck speeds before splashing into a pool below. What happened instead would devastate a family, destroy careers, and expose one of the darkest cover-ups in amusement park history. Investigators later discovered that safety netting on the slide had failed, and the inflatable raft became airborne, striking an overhead restraint wire. Caleb Schwab was killed. 2 women in the same raft suffered severe facial injuries. But perhaps most shocking was what came after. Court documents revealed that company executives had been warned about structural problems with the slide before it ever opened. The warnings were ignored. The ride ran anyway. Just 2 years earlier, in 2014, a different kind of terror unfolded at Six Flags Magic Mountain in California. A teenager riding Superman, the Escape, one of the most iconic thrill rides in America, somehow slipped beneath the ride's restraint system and fell. Emergency crews found him on the concrete below. Miraculously, he survived. But his injuries were devastating, and questions immediately erupted about how a safety harness on a world-famous ride could fail so completely. Summer fairs are supposed to be a celebration, funnel cake, Ferris wheels, and fireworks under July skies. But on July 26, 2017, at the Ohio State Fair in Columbus, a ride called the Fireball became exactly what its name promised. During its operation, a gondola arm snapped violently, flinging riders through the air at terrifying force. One man, 18-year-old Tyler Jarrell, was killed instantly. 7 others were seriously injured. Investigators found the ride's metal had corroded far beyond any safe operating threshold. What emerged during the investigation was even more disturbing. The ride's manufacturer, CAMG, had issued a warning about corrosion dangers to operators around the world. The Ohio State Fair's inspection records were called into question. Some witnesses claimed the ride had been exhibiting unusual vibrations in the days before the accident. Safety regulators scrambled to inspect similar rides at fairs across the country, shutting down dozens overnight. It was a systemic failure hiding in plain sight, one spin at a time. No list of theme park disasters would be complete without Action Park, the New Jersey water park that earned the notorious nickname Accident Park and Class Action Park throughout the 1980s. This place was so dangerous that it had its own dedicated ambulance, permanently stationed on site. Multiple guests died. Hundreds were seriously injured every single season. And the man behind it, Gene Mulvihill, operated it with almost no regulatory oversight, creating rides so reckless that some of his own employees refused to test them. One of Action Park's most infamous attractions was the Cannonball Loop, a water slide with a full 360-degree loop. The problem? It wasn't mathematically designed to work with human bodies. Riders got stuck inside the loop. Some were knocked unconscious from the centrifugal force. One tester lost teeth. Witnesses reported hearing screaming from inside the enclosed loop that would suddenly, terrifyingly, go silent. The slide was quietly shut down after only a few weeks, but the damage had already been done. Even the most beloved, tightly controlled theme park empire on Earth has not been spared. Walt Disney World, the Kingdom of Magic, has seen its share of tragedies. In 2016, a 4-year-old boy named Lane Graves was dragged into the water by an alligator at a Disney resort beach in Florida. He had been waiting in a clearly marked no swimming zone, but multiple witnesses stated that alligator warning signs were absent or inadequate. Disney quietly settled with the family, then quietly installed new signs. The magic had its shadows across the theme park world. One name kept appearing in accident reports throughout the 2000s. Intamin, one of the world's most prolific roller coaster manufacturers. Rides like Ride of Steel at Darien Lake in New York ejected an Army veteran who was a double amputee from the coaster in 2004, killing him. Investigations revealed that operators had allowed him to board despite his disability, posing a restraint concern. It was a human error, but it was also a systems error. And Intamin rides appeared again and again in incident reports around the world. In 2004, at Knott's Berry Farm in California, a malfunction left riders dangling upside down on a suspended loop coaster for nearly 40 minutes, 80 feet off the ground. While no one died, multiple riders suffered severe panic attacks, blood pooling to the head, and psychological trauma. One woman later described the experience as the longest 40 minutes of her life, certain she was going to fall. What made it worse? The park's emergency response was dangerously slow. Protocols that should have activated instantly took precious minutes to trigger. Perhaps the most heartbreaking stories are those involving children who were failed not by machines, but by people. Height requirement rules exist for a reason. Restraint systems are designed with specific body dimensions in mind. Yet again and again, operators allowed riders through who didn't meet the requirements, either through inattention, pressure from impatient crowds, or a culture that prioritized throughput over safety. In each of these cases, families walked into a park holding their child's hand. Some of them never walked out the same way. What's perhaps most infuriating is how long the amusement park industry fought against government oversight. For decades, major theme parks successfully lobbied to keep federal regulation away from fixed-site amusement parks, arguing they could self-regulate. Fixed-site parks, like Disney or Six Flags, still remain largely outside the jurisdiction of the Consumer Product Safety Commission to this day. It took decades of tragedies, lawsuits, and public outcry to even begin pushing meaningful state-level safety reforms forward. After every major accident, the pattern is eerily predictable. A park issues a statement expressing deepest condolences. Investigators arrive. Lawsuits are filed. The ride is temporarily shut down. Some safety upgrades are made. And then, within months, a new ride opens. New tickets are sold. The gates open again. For most parks, the math is cold. The cost of a lawsuit is still far cheaper than the cost of a full safety overhaul. And until that math changes, families will keep walking through those gates, trusting a system that has proven time and again it does not always deserve that trust. So the next time you buckle into a harness, pull down a lap bar, or step into a gondola high above the ground, ask yourself, when was this last inspected? Who checked these bolts? Was there a warning someone ignored? Theme parks are extraordinary places. The joy they create is real, but so is the danger. Safety should never be a secret. It should never be a trade-off. And the people who were killed or injured on these rides, they deserve to be remembered, not just as statistics, but as the warning that the industry never wanted you to hear. Stay curious, stay informed, and always, always ask the question,